That's terrific. Deb, it's my understanding you've got a hard stop at 9. Is that correct?
Correct, sir. I think
Okay.
Chris does too.
I do as well. Today I have an appointment at 10 that I've got to make sure I'm prepared for. So Debbie, we were kind of going back and forth on chat, and the conversations that you and I were having along with Curtis was, sellers are pulling their homes off the market, freaking out, going, what the heck's going on? Buyers are hesitant to make a move. They're kind of stalled. Let's start with the buyer stuff, because everybody's involved in buyers. And by the way, everybody, you should be involved with listings as well. We are going to focus a lot of time and energy on that in the coming months to make sure your listing business goes up. But with buyers, Debbie, what are you seeing and hearing in the market? What's going on that's got people going, I don't know, maybe I'm going to hold off?
Well, the good news is it's really fixable, and it's fixable in a fairly short period of time. Now, I don't mean a week, but I mean within 30 days, any agent can significantly improve their buyer conversations to the point where they can help buyers have the confidence to move forward, right? And it comes from what I call the curse of the expert. No matter how long we've been in the business, whether it's a year or 20 years, we know 100 times more, 1,000 times more than the buyers do. I don't care if your buyer says I've bought 100 properties. We still know and understand the market differently than they do, because we have access to MLS and data that buyers just really don't. They have to go to outside tools to do analysis, right? They have to go to Zillow, they have to go other pricing places to try to figure out what homes are worth and things like that. And they're just not experts, but we are. The challenge is what I hear agents say all the time, and I know Kurt's going to say the same thing. The agents say, well, I told them the market's still hot in their price point. I told them that interest rates won't change their mortgage payment very much. I told them that now's a good time to buy. I told them that prices are going to probably still appreciate in most markets, unless you're in luxury or you're in a super blown out. Some of us are in Florida because we're in second home destinations. So we're a little bit wobbly on the fact that prices might not continue to appreciate over the next 5 years. They might not. And so what I hear them say is I told them, we have to show them, we have to pretend that they're a 6th grader and we're trying to help them understand what's happening in the market. And you can't tell them. You have to show them. You have to bring them reports. You have to show them economists' point of view. You have to show them a breakdown. I saw a great breakdown the other day of 3 mortgage rates and home prices and appreciation and depreciation and what the monthly payment is, right? So wild swings in the mortgage, like a point, and a 10% higher purchase price, 10% lower price, and the price is the same. The monthly is the same. So they're freaking out about what they think they know. But the reality of buying a home and what your monthly is going to be isn't actually super impacted by increased, 10% increase in prices and a 0.5% increase in mortgages. And you're going to want to create that for the price point that they're looking in, right? You can't just take one that says a $300,000 house and show them. You have to show them where they are in their price point. And if you brought what I call supporting documents for the major challenges that they have, which is the things I just kind of talked about, and then the icing on the cake and the thing that you lay over everything is, why are you buying now?
What's their motivation?
What's your motivation? And for those of you who are in Grit, we did a couple of role models with that really showed how to go really deep I really like that neighborhood is not why they want to buy. Why do you like that neighborhood? Well, they have really good schools. That's not why. Why are good schools important to you? Well, because where we are right now, we have B-rated schools, and we always said the next time we moved, we would move into a better school system for our children. That's almost still not the why. The why actually is, why is having a good school important for you and your children? Now you're getting close to that. Because here's the thing, and a second question. So over the icing is the why. Then there's a question that says, are you okay if you wait 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it is they're telling you that they want to wait? Are you okay with the market being worse for you then? Now, will the market be worse? We don't know. But they're not really thinking about that. They're not thinking, they're just feeling uncertain. And in the uncertainty, humans will wait. So it's really showing them home prices versus interest rates, market data about the fact that multiple offers are still happening in the price point where they're. Now, when I say market data, pulling up just solds or just pendants and showing them a list. How can you show them what they don't understand? And then walk them through it step by step. It's a slow, painful process. And if they get to the end of the education and say, I still want to wait, that's okay. But at least they're making an educated decision about waiting and not an uneducated decision.
You said something in there that I thought was incredible, that in the, if there's uncertainty, they'll wait.
And let me ask you, are all of us uncertain right now? Like I am.
Yeah. Right on. I want to just kind of summarize that. And then Curtis, you're in, we're talking about right now, the buyer sides, and we're kind of focusing our energy on there. I'm going to add something to that. And then we'll put it over to Curtis for conversation. You said basically be an expert and know what's going on in the market, but also you've got to ask the questions, find out why, what is their motivation? Because ultimately the deep digging for the motivation is going to give you the ability to solve a problem, which alleviates uncertainty. Now, there's something in here, we talked about it, the monthly payments between, $300,000 and $350,000 is like $35. I don't know what $85. I'm not sure exactly what it is. However, forward focusing, when you're saying, well, what's going to happen in this market going forward? Is this the time to make the purchase? Well, interest rates, they freak me out. What if they continue to go up? Or what if they go down? Well, I've just done some math on a $500,000. Remember this is important. On a $500,000 home at a 5% interest rate, putting 10% down, your monthly payment before taxes and insurance, before taxes and insurance is $2,400. 6% is $2,700, and 7% is almost $3,000. That's a $500 difference. If we wait thinking, and here's the conversation, I have a fear that the interest rates are going up. We'd actually be better served purchasing now than waiting and see if they do rise. And here's why. At $500 a month increase in payment, you have to make an extra $18,000 a year to qualify. And we can always refinance it down to a better rate whenever we choose to.
And that's
now that solves
houses
the
don't appreciate, George, right? There is a lot of economists are still saying because of the inventory shortage, we may still be in an appreciating market for most price points. And I just want to give a caveat. You said expert. You don't have to know everything about the market. You don't have to be an expert at the market. You need to be able to explain the 3 or 4 things that we just touched on to your buyer and get them to understand it. You don't have to be the master of all things market. You just have to be explaining these places, help them get over these places where they're stuck. 100%. And that's what I said, 30 days. In 30 days, you can be an expert at that conversation.
Terrific. Thank you, Debbie. Excellent. Curtis, we were talking about the buyer side and getting them to unhinge. They're freaking.
Yes. So I just want to back up and play on one thing that Debbie said. So I'm certain that she was talking about being an expert and then showing them versus telling them. And I think that's so important. And I just wanted to bring something up and to make certain that we all have an understanding is because I saw a lot of real estate agents post things yesterday about, or not yesterday, day before, whatever, about rates going up, rates going up, rates going up, rates going up, whatever. And while we all know that the Federal Reserve did meet and they did in fact raise the rate 3/4 of a point, right? Which is the Fed funds rate, the rate banks borrow money and lend money to one another. What actually happened to the mortgage rates? Anyone?
They dropped.
They went down. They went down, and I share that because I saw tons of real estate agents posting stuff that said rates are going up. Well, that's not actually what happened. Mortgage rates actually came down. And, you know, I bring that up because that's also what your consumers think too, is that then rates went up. And so then they pull back and go out of the market. So I say that because we need to educate them. And you, I think, or many of us need to educate ourselves before we go posting things like that. Because when in fact the Fed raises rates like that, does not necessarily have a direct impact on mortgage rates. Just saying. And so I think we need to be clear about that, but we also need to go, I'll tell you what, if I got a pipeline full of buyers right now that pulled back over the last 2-3 months that we're talking about rates went up, well, guess what? They came down. They're under 5. They're under 5. So I got people to talk to because that might bring some people back into the market or off the fence that otherwise weren't for me. And if I could find 1, 2, what's that mean to me? Well, I don't know, $10,000 commission, $15,000 commission. I think I'm making some phone calls today. So anyway, just saying. So I just wanted to back up to that. Sorry, George. What was your question?
So what we're talking about is helping buyers make a move. And you were dead on topic on that one. We all identify that we've got a hard stop and we've got 13 minutes left before you and Debbie have to hop off, and I do as well. So we're going to go pretty hard and aggressive. What about sellers? What about somebody that says, well, Curtis, you and I touched on this, and Debbie, we touched on this. The home's coming off the market. I'm just going to take it off. I'm going to wait. Or I don't know if I want to sell right now. What are you suggesting? How do we help them come to the realization that buying and selling happens all the time? Deb, you want to hit first on this one? You got something to say?
That's a silly question, George.
Okay.
It's just the silliest questions I have ever heard come out of your mouth. Put it this way, it's very similar. We have to help show them what, we have to understand their motivation and we have to show them what's happening in the market. We have to, when we understand the motivation is, are you willing to wait? Here's the best question. Are you willing to wait and have your financial position compromised by what comes up next? Like if the interest rates continue to rise, it will soften the market. It may not soften the value of the market, but it'll soften the speed of the market. But I can't tell them that. I have to find data or graphs or charts that I can walk them through very slowly that will show them that the market's still hot. I have to know why they're thinking about selling now and how does waiting impact their family. Ask them. I have a seller right now, and those of you on Grit, yes, I'm still working so far. I've got a $250,000 price reduction and they're threatening to take it off the market again. Still from Grit, but guess what? I've had a $250,000 price reduction because my conversation is always, well, what's your plan? If you take it off, are you taking it off for a year? Are you taking it off for 2 years? Are you taking it off until you end of life? Like how long are you taking it off? Not probably for like 2 or 3 years. And by the way, is my favorite response to buyers and sellers. Really, 2 or 3 years, you're going to take it off. And then what? Well, then we're going to put it back on the market. Oh my gosh, are you worried? Well, about what? Well, what if not only we have a softening of the market, they're in luxury. So there's a good chance that the luxury market will actually not take the same appreciation from the rest of the market because it's luxury and wealthy people can afford to wait. They don't have to make a move. They don't have to buy. Luxury is the first that slows down and the last to speed up. Well, what if in 2 or 3 years, there's been a 10% loss in value of your home and interest rates are at 7.5%. Now, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. All I know is that from everything I can see, your best position is today. What would you like to do? Well, so far, they've continued to keep it on the market, although they keep threatening, right, to take it off. But listen, if they say, look, we're going to die here, great. Thanks so much. It's been great working with you. If you're going to die there, then take your house off the market. I don't care. But if you intend to sell it, do you think prices are going to be flat, drop, or go up? Well, they might drop. Yeah, they might. So it's being able to explain. They only see what's in the news. Guess what? Guess who messaged me yesterday when that announcement was made about the federal rates? Interest rates are going up. I'm taking it off the market. I'm like, whoa, 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 Nelly. Interest rates actually dropped. What you're looking at the media, they're fear mongers. They want you to watch the news. And that's actually not true. And then I sent her back an article that explains how interest rates are affected, and it's not the federal rates.
All right. So Deb and I were talking. Thank you. Awesome. And so Deb and I were talking the other day, and actually we, because what we see is many agents struggling. They're going out there. And so if we're talking about sellers, they're going out, they take a listing, and oftentimes, most of the time, it's overpriced for the market. Let's just be realistic. It's overpriced. They're taking it. They're, the sellers are living in the past, and we're allowing them to dictate because we're not having the conversation that Debbie just had up front. And so, if it's me and I'm going on a listing appointment, forget about all the things. I don't care. Forget about all the things. Take my data and go have a real conversation with them about this and what's actually occurring in the market. And even more so, knowing exactly why they're selling, where they're going, what's important to them, and tying that all in. And if I do that, and I do that well, then I can price ahead of the market. Pricing ahead of the market in this market means I'm aggressive, which means I don't have to worry about price reductions. What I see and what we've seen is many agents going in and they say, well, they want to list it at 400. You and I know data says, market says, everything says it's worth 375. And what we say is, well, I'll take it at 400. And 2 weeks from now, I'm going to go ahead and have the reduction conversation, which, by the way, at that point is way harder. Would we? And I know we'd all agree with that.
And it's way too late.
Way too late. It's too late because we wind up chasing the market down. I've seen time and time again. Now, this house that we took at 400,000, we have we don't get any showings, or we get a couple, we get no offers, blah, blah, blah. We go back over 2-3 weeks. We struggle to have this conversation. We have the conversation. We reduce it 10 grand. Then maybe a couple of weeks later, we reduce it to 10 grand again. So now we're down somewhere around 380. And then we get an offer, and the offer is not even 375, which is what we should have priced it to begin with. The offer is probably like 350. So we actually wind up taking less than we should have taken to begin with had we priced it ahead of the market or aggressively. And that, my friends, is a conversation that we need to go have. But you can only have that if you've had the other conversations, which is what Debbie's talking about, which is diving way deep into their motivation and tying that all together, because none of this other stuff matters and where they want to price it and all this other stuff. What matters is their motivation and actually where they want to go. And if you know that, then you can get them to price it properly. You can get them to price it aggressively and get the thing sold and off the market.
Because
Just-
if they want to move back north with family because their parents are aging, I don't ever hear agents talk about the best question to ask, which is, what are you going to do if your house doesn't sell? Because the sellers have never considered, if they decided to sell their house, they've never considered that it might not sell. We're going to sell our house. We're going to move up north. Those are the only two things that go. We're going to sell our house. We're going to move up north. We're going to sell our house. We're going to move up north. What are you going to do if your house doesn't sell? And they will look at you like you have two heads. Well, what do you mean if the house doesn't sell? Look at this house, 120 days. This house, 210 days. This house, 120 days. This house, 120 days. By the way, 120 days is 3 months. Not sold yet. So what are you going to do if your house doesn't sell? Well, we're going to sell. Are you okay with not moving back near your parents? Well, we're going to sell our house. Well, okay, but only if it's priced right. And here's the thing. I don't have a crystal ball. This is what I tell them. I don't have a crystal ball. All I know is price is the number one thing that sells a house. And if your price is not what buyers want today, which by the way, I don't know what the buyers want, then your house isn't going to sell. Are you okay with not moving back north? Well, no. Then why don't we price? Now I've already had the price ahead of the market conversation. Then why don't we be aggressive? Price ahead of the market so we can get the most amount of money today and not be like one of these ones that 3 months later, they're still trying to figure out where to price their house to get a buyer to want to make an offer. Let's be aggressive.
Yeah, and you know why I study the market daily, and so here locally, what Deb and I have seen is we're not seeing an increase in the expireds yet, but there's a new term that many of you guys are familiar with if you're in Stellar MLS, which is conditional withdrawn or withdrawn unconditional, right? And so what I have seen though is a huge increase in the withdrawals, which just tells me they're expired. They didn't expire. They didn't get that far. The seller called them and said, just take it off. Right. And so that's what we're seeing. So call it what you want, but same thing as expireds, right? Because the house didn't sell. And you all know, number one thing's price, right? Price. It's just price. And if we go back to the olden days, if we want to call it that, right? It was always the second agent. This is where I love it. And this is where we've got to get really serious about having these incredible conversations up front about pricing. Because this is where we made our money. It wasn't in the, agents would go out, they'd take an overpriced listing, it'd sit on the market for 3-6 months, it'd expire. And then the second agent would come in, they'd make the phone call, right, to the expired listing, get it priced right. Because at this point, the seller's exhausted all their whatever, right? They'd get it priced right. And the second agent is the one that would sell it. So for those of you who, maybe you know this or you've been in the game long enough that expired listings are the gold mine because they've already done all the thing, right? So they've gone through the pain of having it on the market and being overpriced and their agent not having the right conversation with them and so on and so forth. So it's cleanup time for many people that want to get in that game. Or if you're going to go get the listing first, well, then if you want to make certain that gets sold, have the conversation up front, because you can play the game there's nothing more painful than having a listing 3-4 months and having that conversation over and over and over and over again. Like, that's just the worst. It's the worst. So it's getting really good at that conversation up front. And it's the motivation. We can't say it enough. It just kills me time and time and time again. An agent comes, I can't get the listing sold. Here's what we ask. Why are they selling? And then tell me more and tell me more and tell me more to the agent. And the agent usually really doesn't know. They tell us things like, well, because they're buying a house down the street. That's not why they're selling. That's not their motivation. So all I can say is dig deep, people. When you're talking to people, dig deep. This is both the buyers and both the sellers. Dig deep, find out the real motivation. When you do that, that's how you can get people to move. See, logic, all the numbers, all that stuff, you've probably heard it before. makes them think, but emotion and that motivation and you tying it together is what gets them to take action, And so, but you can't do that unless you understand their true motivation, not the I'm buying a house down the street, the real motivation, what it means for them and their family, why it's important, that kind of thing. And then I love Deb's question. I think you should all throw it in there all the time. What happens? It's the greatest question in the world because the thought has never crossed their mind. What happens if you don't buy? And what happens if you don't sell? And are you okay with that? And that right there, that if you take nothing else, take that and use it. Use it. It's the best.
Terrific.
George, I'm out.
I love it.
Go.
I get it. 9 o'clock. That's it. Thank you
I
guys
got
so much.
one quick comment, which is the favorite question I used to ask expireds. Once I've broken the ice and got them to be willing to be on the phone with me was how many times did your agent ask you to reduce your price? 80% of the time, the answer was never. Never.
Wow.
80% of the time, they said never. Now, in this market, you might get said, oh my God, the agent asked me every single day and I just won't. Well, tell me why you were thinking of moving in the first place. Then I go off of that, right? And now I try to dig into their motivation and see if that motivation is still there. Because if they're not motivated, oh, well, we were just testing the market. Well, what would you have done if you sold? Well, we weren't really sure. Well, would you stay locally? Would you move out of state? Well, we didn't really know. That's not a motivated seller. I'm not really chasing that one. If I can't uncover something that says, I want to be closer to loved ones, I'm moving because I want to give my children a chance to live in Colorado and ski every day. Like if they don't have one of those reasons, I'm probably not. We were testing the market because it was so crazy. We actually love our neighborhood and we're happy to stay here. Great, thanks. We'll stay in touch. I'll put you in my database and I'll update you on what's happening in the market. And then I'll follow up with them monthly, but I won't be aggressive unless I can uncover a real emotional reason. You know, if someone says, well, we want to get our cash out, great. What will you do with that money? Well, we're going to put it in my retirement. That's not why. Why is putting it in your retirement important? Well, because it will double our retirement savings. If we put 700,000 in, we'll have a 1.4 million. Why is having 1.4 million in your retirement important? Well, because our financial advisor has done some math with us and we know if we get that amount in our retirement, we'll be set or almost set or 3/4 set. So how will you that's still not why. How will that make you feel when you have $1.4 million in your retirement? Oh my gosh, we'll just feel so relaxed about our retirement. We'll feel more secure. Now we've got some meat, right? So they want to feel secure. They want to feel confident. They don't want to feel worried. Now, as we're moving through the pricing, I can say, well, what happens to your retirement account if we don't get this house sold? Now I bring up that anxiety and that worry and that fear. And then I remind them how calm they'll feel. You told me it was really important not to be worried and stressed anymore about your retirement. Is that no longer important? Oh no, that's still really important. Okay, good. I just want to check and make sure because, you know, we've had 2 weeks of no showings and 10 showings and no offers. And so my concern is you might not be able to get at that equity to put in your account if we don't take a price reduction. And I'm really committed. Would it be okay if we got $650 into your account? Well, that would be better than zero. Yeah, that would be. Maybe you'd have a little bit of more work to do, but still that big chunk would be taken. And how would you feel knowing that big? I'm taking them back there all the time and saying, so let's talk about pricing your home to get an offer, right?
Awesome, Deb. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for running over. I appreciate it. Y'all stick around for a couple minutes because I've got about 2 minutes of stuff I want to share with everybody. And I will tell you that not next Tuesday, not this Tuesday coming, but the following Tuesday, I'm going into, and I'm going to start aggressively going into some things. First off, how to communicate with your listings, how to maintain your listings, how to be relevant in your marketing strategy with your listings. 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, because that's going to happen. All of us are going to be listing agents. That's part of your success in real estate. And I'm focusing some time on what we do with it. How do we communicate weekly? How do we get the right price for the property? How do we communicate if they don't give us the right price? How do we make sure we tie in that reduction, and how does it become relevant to them? A lot of what we talked about today was just terrific. I wanted to make sure that you guys are sticking for that. That'll be the following Tuesday. I'm going to share my screen real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Robert K., who's going to dig into a little bit deeper on stats and conversations with sellers. This guy is absolutely a high analytic and brilliant. You want to stick around for this. It's part of what we're doing right now. I want you all to have it. Just for housekeeping purposes, this is GPS Global Partners. It's available to everybody. If you click on the classes or calendar coaching classes link, you'll notice that all of these actually have live links in them. They talk about the classes, and that is how every single day of the week, the classes, www.gpsmastermind.com, and the password is partner. Everything is in here, including some of our larger events. In this case, there's all the information about the build event and where you can go to do it. And that's actually incorrect. It's build event 22. I'll get that fixed in just a minute. Or Tiff, can we jump in there and edit that? It's build event 22. One other thing I wanted to show you, and this is courtesy of Bill Bliss. Thank you. This is mortgagecalculator.org. Really powerful tool for finding out what mortgage payments look like. And as Bill said, it actually imports property taxes, or you can pull them up yourself depending on how you're doing it. Really nice to have. I have one on my phone. As professionals, all of us should for sure have that. This is the app that I use, and I'm going to stop sharing because that's what I wanted you all to see. It's the gold one. I think you can see it. Probably not, because my phone doesn't register. Unfortunately, it's not a screen, but I have a mortgage calculator that's it's a great little app, and you can get them on the App Store too. Folks, you need to have one of these for your tools. It's going to help you to have that and be able to do it. I ran these numbers with 5, 6, and 7% on my mortgage app. The one that Bill shared is, in my opinion, the best. Oh, I have one more thing, and this is for Central Florida, and then I'm turning it over. If anybody is around on the Thursday, August 18th, we have a panel. The panel is myself and Jackie. We have 2 other people, Beth Woodhall, and this is in Central Florida. Beth Woodhall is on the panel, and Carrie Light, and it is all about the shift. If you want more information for that, it's the agent mastermind, top agent mastermind that we do, and I'll be speaking on Thursday the 18th. We can get you information on that if you want, and that's here in the Orlando area. That's all I got. Robert, are you here, brother?
I'm here, but Tiffany, you know what we got to do.
We're gonna stop recording at this